Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Funny Ha Ha or Funny Peculiar. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to come to my show. This show is all about me, but it's not just about me. I think there are several things about my life that just about anybody can relate to. There are some songs and some monologues, and all of them written by me. The songs may not accurately reflect my life, or in some cases, anything, but the monologues are from my life or my reflections on it. I've tried to make it fun, but with this kind of material, that's not always possible. What is very clear to me, looking back at my life, is that I've been blessed. I'm fortunate to see and act on things that what others in my family didn't act on or didn't see. The positive aspects of life that I grabbed onto, my passion for music and performing, my love of humanity and of all living things, even though I'm an omnivore, as anybody knows who's had a meal with me. But it's a story of becoming and overcoming. It's a story of letting go of the negative habits of working hard to build new positive habits. It's a story of not giving up, even when there was seemingly no one to support me or cheer me on. Eventually, I learned to ask for help, but mostly is about me making my own way when there seemed to be no guideposts or to show me how to be in my life. There were some inner guideposts, as I found out later. It took me a while to recognize them, how to get out of a situation that just didn't feel right, or to stop an activity that I had a gut feeling would turn out badly. Before I continue, I would like to thank Greenkill Studios for offering up this peer-to-peer service that allows me to perform this piece without any economic insecurities and just open it up for everybody else. So thank you very much to Greenkill Studios. I really appreciate that. Thanks again for coming. And it shows me that I am truly not alone in this world, and for that, I am grateful. So in our living room, there was a couch that formed the hypotenuse of a triangle between the one wall for the entryway closet and one of the dining room walls. A bookcase was on one of the walls behind the couch. In the bookcase were some books, surprisingly enough, and among them was a set of the New World encyclopedias. Sometimes I would move the couch, not because I was really strong, but because it was on wheels, sit behind it, pull out one of the letters of the encyclopedia set, and just start reading. Sometimes my parents would ask where I was, and sometimes they wouldn't. I was hidden and silent. It was very much in contrast to the other things that were going on in the household at the time. It didn't occur to me until much later why I did this. I knew then that I was a very curious child in both senses of the word. I wanted to know about the world around me, but another reason eventually came to me why I sat behind the couch hidden to my family. I wanted to hide from them. They were dangerous, they were chaotic. I had no idea what was going to happen next most of the time. And what frequently happened was odd to a child. Violence between siblings, lots of hostile words, lots of verbal jabs at each other, lots of drinking and smoking. Not a lot of attention paid to the youngest because all the older ones were grabbing it. So I had made my own entertainment. Sure, I got fed, provided for, and for that I am grateful. But the couch and the books and the world that I slipped into behind the couch provided a safe haven for me and helped me imagine a world beyond what was going on day to day on O'Neill Street. Maybe my story isn't as juicy and full of whatever as yours. Perhaps you were beaten, abused, mistreated. I feel for you and hope you've gotten or will get the healing you need to make the life you want. I feel the need to tell my story because there are so many of them. And this one small gesture, me getting on stage and opening myself up like this, may help you to do the same. Or help you listen to a relative of yours do this. Or listen to your child when they open up to you about things like this. That kind of listening can change the world. So my first song is what would happen if an 8-year-old in 1970 wrote a punk tune about being a latchkey kid. Latchkey, 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 latchkey kid. Latchkey, 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 latchkey kid. Every day I walk home from school, I feel just like a fool. Nobody's there when I get home. My heart feels just like a stone. Cartoons are my only friend. The world is coming to an end. When nobody's there, every nerve is hot like fire, and my bike has a new front tire. Latchkey, 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 latchkey kid. Latchkey, 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 latchkey kid. Where the hell are mom and dad? Does every kid have it this bad? I don't know what to do with myself. I guess I'll go sit on a shelf. I hear noises all around. They must be coming from underground. There's nobody here to help me out, even if I scream and shout. Latchkey, 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 latchkey kid. Latchkey, 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 latchkey kid. Every day I walk home from school, my heart feels just like a fool. Nobody's there when I get home. My heart feels just like a stone. I hear noises all around. They must be coming from underground. No one here to help me out, even if I scream and shout. Latchkey, 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 latchkey kid. 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 This is a song about my old neighborhood, not too far from where I'm standing right now. I looked out the window of my parents' front door for my friends to appear, but they're gone. Most of the time they're all over the place, but I guess that today there are none. I remember last week when we ran the street, playing football and baseball with Jake. Today I'm inside playing records instead, getting lost in the sound that they make. And now I go riding my bike to the place where the stream and the trees know my name. Nobody questioning why I'm alone. I don't have to deal with the shame. Here by the stream, there are only my angels nearby. Here by the stream, I can let my spirit fly. Here by the stream, no one yelling in my ear. Here by the stream, it always runs true and clear. I take myself back to my house on the street, away from the calm of the wood. I wonder if anyone notices me. I don't even know if they should. The roots of the tree grows as much as the roots, they are deep. So maybe this just is my soil, to bloom where I'm planted, wherever that is, to reach for the sun, not recoil. I look out the window of the place I am now. Some friends are no longer around. I walk by myself, but I carry them here. The blessings in my life abound. The tree grows as much as the roots, they are deep. So maybe this just is my soil, to bloom where I'm planted, wherever that is, to reach for the sun, not recoil. I look out the window of the place I am now. Some friends are no longer around. I walk by myself, but I carry them here. The The blessings in my life abound. The blessings in my life abound. The blessings in my life abound. Thanks, Doc. I remember as a kid, there were many times when I was furious at my family for smoking so much. Most of these times happened when I was trying to fall asleep. I would try to breathe and relax, but the only thing I smelled was cigarette smoke. I tried to make it so I didn't breathe so much because in my childhood logic, if I breathed less, then I wouldn't have as much of that crap in my lungs. I knew as a kid that cigarette smoke was dangerous. I knew that. But that didn't change my family's actions one bit. They never asked my opinions on the subject. They never asked how I felt about it. They just smoked. Not only my parents and my brothers, but all of their friends. During my teen and preteen years, when it was really bugging me, I went outside to sit on the porch so that I wouldn't have to breathe that crap. I don't remember one time where anybody came out to ask me why I'd left or talk to me about it. And when I came home from college, I tried to be out of the house as much as possible because I had to endure none of that in my dorms, thankfully. I think the walls in our house were originally white, but the smoke from all those cigarettes made them tobacco-stained yellow. You might be able to get that color in a paint store. Why, I don't know. I've tried to come up with some way to look at this whole scenario in a positive light. And this is the only thing that I can come up with. Thank God I didn't start smoking. I tried it once, but it tasted like I was licking an ashtray. Or else I'd be as dead or as damaged as they are. As you can tell, I have a really hard time not getting pissed off about this. I see parents smoking in the vicinity of their kids, and I want to go up to them and slap them and wake them up and point to the kids and say, do you see what you're doing to these kids right now? Do you see that you're poisoning their air? Do you see that you're setting an example for them to kill themselves and to watch you do that to yourself? But that really would do nothing. And it would just be jumping in where I have no business to. I wish I had the courage to say that to my family while it was still happening. But what is there to do? Sit and watch it happen? Sulk and cry in the corner? Behind the couch? Take up smoking myself now? Just let it go? I don't know. But I'm still here, and most of them are not. I win. Woohoo! So after I was in my teens, I've got some musical knowledge, and I joined a band, and it was one of the best things I ever did. If your kids ever say they want to join a band, let them. Because it's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Bobby and Joe and Paulie and me played in the basement for kicks. Just some young punks making some noise, but I knew that something would stick. We figured out some songs we could play and wrote one or two of our own. We played at some parties, drank us some beers. It never lasted too long. I found a place where I made my own world, a place where I had control. The house where I lived had nothing of that. It felt like a deep body hole. The next group of guys was better a bit than we had hoped. There was more. the college and jobs broke up the band, but I knew what I was there for. I saw the faces of my friends as they danced. They looked so happy and free. Regardless of where this life took me, I knew that this was a life for me. I later turned pro and traveled a bit, remembering what I'm here to do. The fun and the joy and the heart and the dance, when I get to dance a bit too. I've been in this game a little longer than most. I may see my share of fame, but then again that's not really the point. I've gotten all there is to gain. The joy that I've brought cannot be denied, but really never was me. It was the music delivering itself, and with that we all can be free. And with that we all can be free. And with that we all can be free. Yeah. Being in a band probably saved my life. Because, like I say, that's where I knew I had a place. And this next song is one of the songs that we wrote in that first band. Television, it's a media hype. Television, you know all the types. Detectives, electives, and other deviants. Inspectives, rejectives, it's all previous. Spaced out little zombies sitting in front of the screen, slowly getting brainwashed, cause they really don't know the scene. Television, it's a media hype. Television, you know all the types. Scamcasters, spin masters, another bogus slime, fact blasters, bad actors, you're wasting my time. Reality show wannabe leaders, thinking that you're gonna be cool. You march this country backwards, we see you're just one more fool. So is there any hope? I'm turning into a derp. How steep is this slope? I'm getting tired of this trope. Television, we're all eating the hype. Num num. Television, take another swipe. Hard right. Television, television, hard left. Television, television. Yes, yes, yes. So, I grew up in this house with 3 or 4, 5 other people. And you know, Doc, I have to really just get honest. I often think about my mother in negative terms. How she drank and smoked herself pretty much to death, pretty much in front of me. How she taught me to be cynical about life, how seemingly nothing was good enough for her. I have to stop myself frequently and remind myself she had a pretty rough life. She grew up on a farm outside of Portland, Oregon, in the aftermath of the Depression. Her father died when she was 10. She must have had a deep desire to be anywhere else when she met my father when they both were stationed at an Air Force base in southern Germany in the early 50s. That's about as far away from Oregon as you can get. I had a paper route in my early teens, and when it rained, she drove me around in our big red Oldsmobile station wagon without complaint, all the while smoking in the front seat. So she drove me to and from band rehearsals without hesitation and allowed us to have some rehearsals in the basement. She raised 4 very active boys and saw the 5th one die in the hospital days after giving birth, and yet she persisted. Several of her boys turned out to be drug dealers, and yet she persisted. One of those boys, was involved in a nearly fatal car crash, and I saw her make the decision to take him from the local hospital and move him to a more advanced hospital an hour away, and yet she persisted. Later, I saw her deal with separation from her family. Hers remained on the West Coast, ours remained on the East, and yet she persisted. Her closest sister went through a battle with Alzheimer's, and that must have had an effect on her. And yet, recently, an old friend of mine told me a story about my mother that totally changed my perspective on her. He thought of her unexpectedly, remembering her as the den mother in his Cub Scout pack. He told me that she was extraordinarily affectionate and a steadying influence for an entire pack of 10 boys. He also wondered that even after giving birth to 5 boys, how was it that she agreed to host a whole group of almost a dozen different boys every Monday for years? Pretty amazing, huh? Completely changed my view of her. So it's time for me to give up whatever judgments I have about her and just accept her for who she was for me, and who she was for our family. Thanks, Mom. So if my superpowers of cynicism and sarcasm come from my mother, my propensity to anger definitely came from my father. He grew up in Kingston, New York, also a child of the Depression, 3 years older than my mother. His father came from Germany, and his mother came from Switzerland at the turn of the 20th century. So my mother's heritage is English and Irish. So I cannot be any more Western European if I tried. His father's family settled in Clinton, Iowa, part of a sizable family. Eventually, Grandpa Charlie became a traveling lumber salesman and found his way to Kingston. My dad was the oldest male with 2 older sisters and a younger brother. He and his brother did not get along. He told me a few stories of his growing up years. One such story stuck with me. My grandfather generally left home for business to visit clients on Monday morning and didn't get back until Thursday night. One night, my dad was in his late teens. He and my grandmother went out to a bar to celebrate one thing or other. He wasn't clear on that point. Shortly after, when my grandfather returned home for the week, he pulled my father aside and said, "Don't ever go out with my wife again." That was the kind of household he grew up in. My dad left home to join the Air Force and ended up meeting my mother in Germany, as I said. He was an air policeman, which meant he guarded the air base where he was stationed. Another story he told me, he was on duty at the gate one night when the commanding officer came back drunk. My dad, doing his duty, asked the CO for the password to get onto the base. The CO refused. My father didn't back down, and neither did the CO. Kept asking for the password. The CO continued to refuse. Eventually, another officer came in to broker the standoff, and the CO was allowed on the base. I don't remember if my dad was ever written up for that, but I don't think so. Ours was a household that prized responsibility and discipline above all else. Every so often, my family was sitting around the dinner table. We would get into discussions of the issues of the day in the late 60s and early 70s. Sometimes things get a little heated. To bring order to the discussions, my father would raise his hand and slam it down, and that would be that. Even if I knew it was coming, it was still a frightening thing. I once did that in a heated conversation with a woman I was dating. The relationship didn't last long after that, and I do not blame her for a second for ending it. But my dad did teach me to golf. And when we were walking around those fairways, I saw a different side. One that was relaxed and fun and loving, with a great sense of humor. He also taught me how to play pool. One word he consistently used to help me play well with both games was finesse. And at the pool table and on the golf course, he had all of that in spades. Thanks, Dad. One night, when I was about 13 or 14, my dad and I went to the Third Run movie theater in town here to go see Blazing Saddles. Funniest movie ever. If you haven't seen it, you must. Not at all politically correct, gross in parts, sexist in parts, anti-racist most of the way through, but always funny. So we're sitting in the theater, thoroughly enjoying ourselves, when an usher, yes, an usher, that's how old I am, strolls down the aisle saying, "Call for William Ralph, call for William Ralph." And yes, this was way before cell phones, so even more proof that I'm aged. So my dad and I look at each other and wonder what's up. He gets up to the phone, and a few minutes later he comes back with this Cheshire Cat grin on his face. Of course I ask, "What's going on?" And he says, "Your mother stopped at the 11 Main, one of their favorite bars, to pick up some cigarettes." And he realized that she'd locked the keys in the car with the motor running. And I asked, "Well, are we going to go get her?" He says, "Hell no. We're going to watch this movie. She's safe, and if the car runs out of gas, it'll just shut off. No problem there." And we sat in that movie theater laughing even harder at a movie that was hilarious to begin with. Sometime later, we joined Mom at the 11 Main. I thought she was going to be pissed off, but not at all. She was drinking her scotch and water, a lit Parliament in front of her, enjoying herself immensely. And that's why they were married for 38 years. I could see the worry in the waitress's eyes. She'd seen me in this bar every week for a couple of years, and she could see that I really didn't want to be there. Why couldn't my parents? The waitress was the mother of a high school friend. Her daughter was out doing what kids of our age should have been doing, is being out with their friends. But here I was, going out again with my parents to this bar restaurant in my neighborhood, eating dinner with them. Later, they will have too much to drink, and I'll be forced to be in the company of other adults getting drunk. I really don't want to be here, but I feel I don't have anywhere else to go. Also at this bar is a man who I could tell was trying to seduce me. My father had great respect for his intellect, but in his lovely, non-judgmental way, didn't see or didn't take into account that this man was gay and I was in his sights. I liked him too, but definitely not that way. It was very creepy and not safe for me to be around this man. The only thing that saved me when I was at this bar, and irony of ironies, the name of it was the Promised Land. Funny, huh? The only thing that saved me from walking in front of the train that rolled by a couple 100 feet away was the jukebox. They had some good tunes in that jukebox, and that contraption was my saving grace. I could tune out all the unpleasant and creepy things about that place and concentrate on the music. I still remember the songs that played a lot on that jukebox. Jazz Man from Carole King, Rise from Herb Alpert, On Broadway from George Benson, you get the idea. I could focus on the music until I had to get some fresh air, because this was way before the indoor smoking laws were a thing. I felt trapped, uncared for, abandoned, creeped out, and joyous all at once. I had no clue that I could walk out of that place and just walk home and not be part of that sorry scene. The thought never occurred to me. I felt totally stuck in the situation, and I couldn't leave my parents, not me, the caretaker. So I just took it, and I didn't say a word. Some self-help traditions say that there are no victims, only volunteers. I'm not sure what I was volunteering for, but it sure shaped me in some way or other. I am still working that one out. So here's a song that came to me as I was doing some work on myself through therapy. Nigel Tufnell, in his infinite wisdom, says that D minor is the saddest key of all. Well, A minor is a close second. There's a part of me wants to be miserable. I can do everything on my own. There's a part of me wants to be righteous with judgments and arrogant lies, with the feeling of a stone. Each of these parts is a part of me, like my muscles and sinews and bone. All of my greatness is there as well, and I'm willing to make it my own. Ain't it funny how I go to that torture cell, and I don't belong there after all. But it's just another part of that man I see in the mirror each day. Now I'm gonna stand tall. Each of these parts is a part of me, like my muscles and sinews and bone. All of my greatness is there as well, and I'm willing to make it my own. It's hard to write about that greatness within me. That's a part that doesn't get the attention. It's a part that does the quiet service, and that hardly gets my mention. Each of these parts is a part of me, like my muscles and sinews and bones. All of my greatness is there as well, and I'm willing to make it my own. I'd like to dedicate that song to David, who just passed away this morning actually. He taught me a lot about that. This next song is a deceptively poppy song about a rather serious subject. I wrote this letter to you both, so hopefully you'd see the same damn thing that's killing you is also killing me. It's killing me in a different way, but it's doing me in just the same. See what you're doing? You're stuffing out your flame. Do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? Can't say how to live your life. That's not what I'm trying to do. I just want to see the inner strife that's going on for you. Can you let me see that? Can you let me see that? Will you let me see that? Will you let me see that? You won't let me see that. You won't let me see that. Yes, we're brothers, we lived our lives. It doesn't mean I'm free to knock your door open and make you show what you don't want me to see. You have your reasons, they are your own. I have no right to judge. You go your way and I'll go mine. I'll never hold a grudge. I just love you so much. I just love you so much. I just have to say that. I just have to say that. Can you hear me say that? Can you hear me say that? Yes, we're brothers, we lived our lives. It doesn't mean I'm free to knock your door open and make you show what you don't want me to see. You have your reasons, they are your own. I have no right to judge. You go your way and I'll go mine. I'll never hold a grudge. so much. I just have to say that. I just have to say that. Can you hear me say that? Can you hear me say that? Later, meanwhile, back in the jungle, actually, I found out about 12-step programs, and this is the song that helps me express my gratitude for that. God grant me another day tomorrow. God grant me a little less sorrow. God grant me some tools that I can borrow. God grant me a path that I can follow. You've given me so much. Why am I asking for more? I keep forgetting that I've knocked upon your door. God grant me the wisdom to see the man that I'm to be, the path to being free, the way to clear debris. I will do my part by owning what I've done, by doing what I can to complete what I've begun. And in my closing days of my time left here on earth, the only thing I'll leave is giving joy and mirth. When I forget, I've got you to lift me up. Help me remember who I am. Take another sip from the cup. God grant me the wisdom to see the man that I'm to be, a path to being free, a way to clear debris. When I forget, I've got you to lift me up. Help me remember who I am. Take another sip from the cup. God grant me, God grant me, God grant me, God grant me. One day at a time, y'all. This next song is called Living on the Beep. And it came to me one day that I had my alarm, I had my watch, I had my phone, I had all these things that go beep. And I was running my life by these things that go beep. And I'd also like to dedicate this song to the 900,000 Americans. I am dreaming again. I see piglets and ducklings and sheep. It's a beautiful place, and I've taken a breath real deep. I am dreaming some more, and I'm down a canyon so steep that there's just no way out, and I'm jolted awake by the beep. The beep, the beep, the beep. I am living my life by the beep. And I can't break free from living my life by the beep. Now I'm jogging in place towards the promises I mean to keep, but my pulse runs so fast, and I'm thinking I'm in much too deep. But I can't walk away, 'cause I promise that I will not sleep till I finish my plan. And I'm jolted awake by the beep. The beep, the beep, the beep. I am living my life by the beep. And I must break free from living my life by the beep. I have tried to live without it, but it's harder, yes, by far. I get lost when I'm without it. I just wander under the stars. Maybe you can live without it, with movies and bars. But if you really think about it, there's a space between so far. Now I'm sick here in bed, and my fever is starting to peak, and I can't breathe at all without the structure of the beep. Am I living my last? How many miles before I sleep have I lived in a line, or has it only been a beep? The beep, the beep, the beep. I am living my life by the beep. Now I can't break free from living my life by the beep. The beep, the beep, the beep, the beep, the beep. Am I living my life on the beep? Yeah, Jake. I know you've been married and divorced, and all isn't well with wife number 2, but, you know, my road to romance hasn't been very pretty either. Pretty desolate, actually. My first love was Allison in the 2nd grade. I don't remember anything about what we did together or what we said, but I do remember a letter she wrote to me after she moved to Glens Falls. I was heartbroken when she moved away. She drew 2 stick figures on the back of the envelope, and they were holding hands. I wish I still had that letter. I don't know what happened to her. I think she's a nurse in a prison somewhere in the Northwest. She was the first one to leave. Then in the 5th grade, there was Robin. She was Jewish, and my mom and dad raised me Catholic. So on Wednesdays before I went to confirmation class, I would buy a cupcake from the weekly school bake sale. You remember those? And since I couldn't bring it on the bus to the church, she would kindly hold on to it until Thursday morning. That was very sweet of her. And then she suddenly went away. Things didn't get any better at Miller. There was Melissa, brilliant, beautiful, seemed like lots of fun. I had a huge crush on her. And then again, suddenly, she doesn't go to school there anymore. Nobody knows or says anything about where she went or what happened. You seeing a trend here? And then Kevin starts going out with Donna. She was very nice and in my grade, but she brings 3 of her friends to my house frequently. All 3 of them more beautiful than the other. Janine, Maria, and Renee. And none of them wanted anything to do with me. So by the time I get to high school, I'm thinking it's all over. No one is going to want to be with me ever. I had one date in high school in senior year, but of course being high through most of those years probably didn't help. College wasn't too much better, but living in the dorms, co-ed dorms, made me face my relationship with women because they were all over the place. It wasn't any easier because I had no way to relate to them other than what my father and brothers taught me, and not very healthy, lots of longing and not much action, and being scared, unsure, insecure, no role models, lost. Even when another Robin and I dated in junior year of college, I really didn't know how to relate. So that set the stage for me to be alone, possibly for the rest of my life. And some of my guy friends say, how'd you get so lucky not to be tied down with a wife and kids after all these years? Just lucky, I guess. This next song came to me. The first line came to me when I realized that I didn't remember what my mother's voice sounded like. And it also, when I was writing this song, it came out to me that gratitude lists really don't need to rhyme. I can't remember what your voice sounds like, you've been gone so long. We used to sit around the TV set and watch the birdies and the eagles fly. You taught me how to live in this world, and now I visit you in the next. Your Cheshire cat grin lit up my heart, and your love lifted me up. You gave me everything that you had, and you never asked a thing from me. You gave me food, shelter, food and clothes, and then you set me free. Grateful for the times that we cried. Grateful for the times when you tried to make my world a better place. Grateful for the ties that still bind. Grateful for the eyes that remind me you're always in the mirror. Times you drove me around in the rain and you didn't let me down. You took the time to show me how to play when we walked in the morning dew. You gave me space to explore the gifts that I now give to the world. You gave me courage when the world was falling down, and you handled it all with grace. You showed me how to make my way in this world and to always stand up tall. You showed me how to give my best when my worst is all that I've got. Grateful for the times that we cried. Grateful for the times when you tried to make my world a better place. Grateful for the ties that still bind. Grateful for the eyes that remind me you're always in the mirror. I miss you all, forever and always. You know, growing up in the place I grew up, a lot of unexpressed things, because I was busy hiding out or running away or something. But the one thing that came to me a few years ago is that there was a lot of anger going on, as I explained a little bit earlier. So this is what happens when that kind of anger goes unexpressed. Karma swirls around me and it knocks me off my feet. The anger that I have will only lead me to defeat. The only way to let it go is to give in to it first and let it out in smaller bits and not just one big burst. I do know where the anger lay, I also know it's here. It comes from somewhere long ago, a place of shame and fear. A place of darkness cold, a place where no let go. I need to clean that space out soon, so more of it won't go. The anger monster, it feeds on everything. The anger monster, it keeps on everything. The anger monster, it feeds on everything. The anger monster, everybody feels the sting. With help from those much more attuned, I can lessen the effect of anger in my living life, so it won't have to wreck so far or keep a backwards pace, so I can put the anger monster back into its place. Oh yeah. The anger monster, it feeds on everything. The anger monster, everybody feels the sting. The anger monster, it feeds on everything. The anger monster, everybody feels the sting. Everybody feels the sting. Everybody feels the sting. Everybody feels the sting. You may be wondering, well, first you may be wondering why I call this thing funny ha-ha or funny peculiar. It was just a phrase that my family used a lot. And when I said, or when anybody said, hey, this is funny, well, is it funny or funny ha-ha or funny peculiar? And I just recently, last week, found out that there's a book called Funny Ha Ha, Funny Peculiar. But that was just a phrase that my family used a lot. But you also may be wondering, I could read minds through the cameras, why a man in his late 50s decided to become an actor. And I'm an actor, been in a few movies, done a bunch of TV background stuff. It took me a while to figure that out already myself. I've always, as you could tell, I've always had a lot of emotional output. Very happy, very sad, loud laughing, pretty despondent sometimes, longing, fearful, joyous when I play my music. So a few years ago, a trusted friend and I were talking about my emotional output. And it came to me that a perfect place to put all of this emotionality would be acting. I mean, actors use their emotions all the time, right? And actors and dancers I knew from the musicals that I'd played, sure were using all their emotions all the time. So it just seemed logical, if emotions can be logical, that I should follow suit. I had some acting classes before, but I knew I'd gone swimming in the deep end when I met Sandy Shurin. The first thing she teaches is that I need to be in touch with my emotional state at all times, and let the lines the playwright gives me ride on top of the emotions that are brewing inside of me already. That way, everything I say will be connected to me directly. But that means that I have to keep in touch with those emotions. I can't push them aside or ignore them or try to play them off. I have to feel them constantly while I'm acting. That takes some real courage. I have to be who I am consistently, whatever that looks like, wherever it takes me. That's scary, but it's real and it's me. All of the emotions need to be ready to go. Another thing she teaches is that if someone is insulting me, for example, through their character, I must take it personally. Otherwise, it's fake, and everybody can see that. Coming from a world that had me dismiss insults and stuff them away was even scarier than using the emotions in the first place. Now I have to do something with them without getting violent and loud like my family did when things got out of control. A totally new direction. So, where did this acting take me? Right here. Gave me the courage to even contemplate writing something like this, exposing myself to all of you in the hopes that it might do one of us some good. To let us both know that we're not alone in whatever we're at this moment. A lot of folks think that acting is pretending to be someone else. I see it as a way to become more myself and to honestly show that to others with the intention of whatever the character is going through, you're all going through it too, right along with me. It's a little show and tell. Let's do this. Let's do this right here. I used to have a family. Let's just stand up, shall we? How about that? Does that work better? Let's do this. We're doing this live, so this is live. Thank you. I used to have a family. The picture you see here was taken in the early 70s, about 73 or 74. The 4 people on the right are all gone. Gone by their own hands with the help of cigarettes and alcohol. I spoke to several of them about their habits and addictions, and sometimes harshly, sometimes lovingly, but in each case, to no avail. Through this process, I found out that I'm a lot like them. I have my own addictions, but fortunately none that will kill me as quickly as it did them. Or that's what I tell myself now. However, in many ways, I am not like them at all. Through some kind of grace, I found out how to take care of myself, how to listen to the higher self and take myself out of situations that would do more harm than good. I found out healthy ways to get through the pain of living. For me, the arts have been a salve that eases burdens, gives me inspiration, and makes me laugh at my foibles and the faults of others. I found out that everyone has their own battles, whether I see them or not, and that every family has their own flavor of crazy. One doesn't have to scratch the surface too hard, too deeply to find out what those battles and flavors are. But just as every wound heals from the inside, my will to survive and thrive is bringing me to new places to share my gifts as a creative artist, like right now. If you have someone in your family who you see has destructive habits or addictions, or if you see that person in the mirror when you're brushing your teeth, please take time to listen to and love that person today. Right now, as a matter of fact. There is only now. The past is gone, and the future may not happen for you or for them or for me. It won't happen for the 4 people on the right of this photo, as they've excluded themselves from the future. My eldest brother and I will walk bravely through life together with whatever time we have left. Thanks for being in my life. I would not have one were it not for you. Actually, I'm going to stand up for this one. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come to see the show that we put together. And I'd also like to again thank the Greenkill studio, the Greenkill, for allowing the space, for having the space to put this event on. And I'm really grateful to be able to do this, to lift everybody up through the arts, be it monologues or singing or anything like that. So I really appreciate your time and your attention. I hope that it's entertained you somewhat. I also hope that it's brought you to think about the blessings in your life, whether you see them as such or not. For a long time, I didn't see the blessings in my life. I just saw my life as a burden, and my family see them as a burden or a curse, like I was Marilyn and the Munsters. But the more distance I get from my childhood, the more I see my path as a series of blessings. First off, like the old blues song says, I woke up this morning. Also, I'm able to write and perform my songs and my scribblings for you in a way that hopefully makes sense. Next, I've been blessed with a tremendous amount of support from family, friends, and strangers. All the people who've come to my shows, various performances over the years, have been a huge source of encouragement throughout my creative life. Without an audience, a performer is lessened, weakened. For me, applause is like food, and I like food. Lastly, I'm sorry if any of this has triggered you in any way. I don't mean to be confronting, only entertaining. The things I said here tonight either happened in my world or in my imagination. I want to leave you with a sense that I, and perhaps you, can rise out of any situations that have brought us all here now, and we can make a life that we want to make, regardless of where we started. And with that, I say good night.